You're listening to the X Zone Radio Show live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. Visit us online at
www.xzone-radio.com.
The X Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that we call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern. Right here live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network and our fine family of broadcast affiliates across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, 20 Asian countries, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call, our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. That's toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. On MSN Messenger, Talkstar Radio at hotmail.com. My email address is xzone@talkstarradio.com, and our website's www.xzoneradio.com. That is our main website. And if you'd like to watch, listen, and chat with the X Zone Nation, www.xzonetv.com. On tonight's show, we have Mordy Levine. He's going to be talking about yoga, meditation, and Eastern religions. Dr. Susan Shumsky joins us in hour number 2 to hear the voice of God. Hour number 3, Dr. Nick Begich will be joining me. He's the author of Angels Don't Play This Harp, Advances in Tesla Technologies. And hour number 4, Ellie Marzulli joins me to talk about politics, prophecy, and the paranormal. My first guest tonight is Mordy Levine, and he has been teaching yoga since 2000, at which time he earned his yoga instructor certification from the United States Yoga Association. He is also certified as a Vinyasa yoga instructor. Mordy is a certified meditation instructor in the Eastern tradition and teaches non-denominational meditation techniques. Mordy holds a second-degree black belt from the Shotokan Karate of America and was the instructor for 10 years in New York City. Mordy's appreciation and respect for the Eastern tradition and his motivation for teaching others is very prevalent. He enjoys teaching a safe, inspirational, and challenging yoga class for all levels of students. He strives to provide students with the practical knowledge and tools that can lead them to a happier state of mind and reduced stress in their daily life. He is a certified instructor in karate, yoga, and meditation. He actively teaches yoga and meditation and enjoys a daily practice in both. He currently teaches yoga at Yoga South Studios in Boca Raton, Florida. And Mordy, welcome to the X Zone.
Hi, Rob. Thanks so much for having me.
How are things in Boca Raton these days?
Nice and warm. We're getting ready for the summer.
Good. Now, how did you get involved in yoga and Eastern tradition, Eastern religious traditions, and meditation? Where did this come from?
Well, I when I was in graduate school, I fell upon a free karate class, and I went, and I took it, and I came out of that karate class. I could barely do any of it, but I came out with such a clear state of mind. I remember thinking to myself, you know what? Everyone in the world, if everyone in the world did karate, this would be great. People would be, no war, peace of mind, the whole thing. But very soon thereafter, I realized, that wasn't going to happen. And then I remember about 10 years ago also taking my first yoga class. I was getting older. Karate was a little bit too tough on the body. And I remember after my first yoga class, very difficult for me. And I said, but came out, my mind was clear as a bell, and I said, if everyone did yoga, and then, but I realized, well, some people can't do yoga for whatever reason. It's not acceptable.
Mordy, stand by. I've got to take a 2-minute commercial break. We'll be right back. Mordy Levine is our very special guest. His website, Exonation, is meditationpro.com. Mordy and I will be back in 2 minutes as the X Zone continues right here live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone TV, and on shortwave from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Mordy Levine is our special guest this hour, www.meditationpro.com. And I'm sorry we had to go to that commercial break, Mordy. We were talking about how you got involved in meditation, and Eastern religion and yoga. And we talked about how when you were young, karate seemed to be the way to bring peace to the world. And then you went to yoga.
Right, and I quickly learned that, yoga is great for some people, but for some people it's not. And very recently, I left the business world really to teach meditation, not only one-on-one, but in large groups. And it became very apparent to me that meditation really is something that everyone can do anywhere, almost any time. And that's different than yoga and different than karate. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love yoga, I still love karate, tai chi. Anything that puts people in the great state of mind is just wonderful. But meditation, to me, goes a little bit more directly to the core of one's soul, one's spirituality, and because you can do it anywhere, anytime. You just need to learn, and even learning it can be simple if you have the right teacher or the right instructor. So I'm devoting my entire time really to spreading the word on how wonderful and easy meditation can be.
Why did it take so long for meditation, yoga, and the Eastern religious philosophies to finally take hold here in North America?
Wow. Well, I think the good news is, as a result of really technology, a lot of these concepts, techniques, feelings, and essences are really just whipping around the world pretty fast. And that was not true 50 or 100 years ago. But now, as you know, this show is being broadcast all over the world. So all these wonderful ideas that you are able to disseminate through your radio show is quickly being heard in all corners of the world. And 10, 20, 30 years ago, that was just not possible. So I guess we really have technology to thank for that.
1-877-528-8255 is toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. And Mordy Levine is our special guest. And what has meditation meant for you, and what does it mean to you?
For me, it's really a way to calm my mind, calm my spirit. Sometimes you're lots of thoughts racing around your head, and it feels almost like you don't have any control over where your mind is. And some of those thoughts, as we know, can be very harmful. Sometimes we can find ourselves in thinking some undesirable thoughts, whether it's anger or jealousy or anxiety or stress, and really meditation is a way to reduce those undesirable states of mind and give you a sense of true relief and true control, really over where you place your mind.
Why is meditation more important in today's times than any time before in history?
That's a great question, Rob. All you got to do is read the newspaper, or, look on the internet, talk to your neighbor, and unfortunately, times are very challenging. They're probably the most challenging times that I can remember since I've been alive, and even after studying history a little while, in many ways just very, very stressful, whether it's your gas prices or your economy or your politics or the different wars that we're fighting on all fronts. Very, very stressful for everyone. You can feel it, and it's very unfortunate. And that's really why I left the business world 3 or 4 months ago, so I could devote myself full time to helping people to meditate, so that they can figure out how to reduce the stress and calm their mind. It's very difficult times out there.
Now, Mordy, what are the different types of meditation, and which one of these methods or method do you prefer?
There's walking meditation, there's chanting meditation, there's really different meditations associated with every major religion, whether it's Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, and the list goes on. Every major religion has a meditative component to it. The one that I teach, the one that I prefer, the one that I teach on and put out on some of the CDs that are sold on the website meditationpro.com that you mentioned earlier, is really a breathing-based meditation. And what I've tried to do is make meditation simple, easy to learn, and highly effective. And there's wonderful meditation teachers out there in the spiritual world, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, a whole bunch of people, very bright people, very educated, teaching meditation out there. And what I've tried to do is really simplify it, make it accessible for anyone to learn to do, and make it effective as well.
Why do people meditate then? Can people meditate at work? Can they meditate at school? Can they meditate, on their coffee breaks?
Yeah. Oh, great. I'm glad you asked that, Rob, because the answer is absolutely. You can meditate anywhere, anytime. And that's unlike a lot of these other, methods to happiness, so to speak. And once again, I love yoga. I teach yoga. Love karate. I've taught karate. But meditation is accessible to anyone. So I can't do karate. I'm 77 years old, or I can't do yoga because maybe I'm a little too overweight, or I can't afford it. Guess what? You can meditate. You can feel better. And that to me is that to me is why I'm devoting really my life to spreading, to teaching people how to meditate.
I would imagine people meditate sometimes during their day and they really don't realize that they're meditating.
That's absolutely true. So, at some level, when you're able to engross your mind in some activity without being distracted, in some way that's a form of meditation.
Is daydreaming a form of meditation as well?
Dreaming is a little bit different.
I mean daydreaming. When you're
daydreaming.
Yeah.
Daydreaming is a little bit different.
Okay.
Because meditation is really when you're able to focus your mind and reduce thought, and calm your mind by reducing thought or creating space between thoughts. So, in the meditation world, they say that we think 10,000 thoughts in a day. I used to think that was a metaphor until I started doing the math, and I realized, you count the hours and the minutes and the seconds, and guess what? We're thinking a lot of those thoughts, and part of the problem is some of those thoughts are racing through our mind, and part of the problem is some of those thoughts pack a terrific punch. If you're feeling angry, if you're feeling jealous, if you're feeling anxious, it comes in a huge, huge emotional component to it. So what meditation does is it allows you to calm those thoughts and create space between the thoughts, and that's meditation. So daydreaming, may be a fun activity, but since it's very much thought involved, it doesn't necessarily raise your level of consciousness and calm your mind.
I meditate each and every night after the show before I before I finally go to bed. I clear my mind. I find that little space that is mine, and everything else is cleared out.
Beautiful.
And then I can call my day done, and I go to bed and I have a very enjoyable sleep. Before that, I couldn't. My mind would race and race and race. I'd toss and turn in bed. I'd get up, I'd get down, I'd get up, I'd get down. But since I've started meditating, it's a way of giving me myself back.
I couldn't phrase it any better, Rob. And for you, and for me, and for many others, it's really like breathing air.
Exactly.
And eating and washing my face. So we're not going to go outside unless we brush our teeth. And the same thing. I wouldn't think of starting or finishing your day or taking out 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you can afford to meditate. And really, it's only after you do it for a while, maybe a couple of days, a couple of weeks, that you realize how invaluable it is. Or maybe, obviously, if some people are in pain, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain or insomnia, and then they try meditation and they realize, gee, this is a way out of my pain, that's only when people recognize its tremendous value. I
remember when I was first talking to someone about my problems I had after the show. I was up. I didn't want to go to bed. I didn't want to do this. I found myself. I kept on working in a loop. And they said, what you need to do is find time for yourself and take yourself back from the world. I said, what are you talking about? And they said, well, just try meditating. I said, I can't do a lotus position. And they said, no. Sit down, relax, close your eyes, breathe, focus on yourself. And I thought, you're nuts. I tried it.
Rob, I got a secret.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to share a secret with you. I don't want you to tell anyone this, okay?
Oh, okay, sure. It's just between you and me, yeah.
Okay, just between me and you. I can't do a lotus position either.
Oh, geez,
okay?
Thank God. I thought I was strange.
And sometimes, people have this image in their mind of what meditation is.
Yeah.
And the way I teach it, and I feel what's different about what I teach than what others teach, and that what others have taught for 5,000 years, because that's how long meditation's been around for, is you can sit anywhere you'd like. Just make sure you're sitting up straight. You want to find a place and a time where things around you are quiet, where you're not going to be distracted by noise, the phone, your pager, your kids, your pets. You have to find the right time, the right space, and be consistent. And then, of course, you need a technique, which many meditation teachers provide. I provide one that's very simple. It's breathing-based, and once again, it's on. You were wonderful mentioning the website meditationpro.com, where you can get any number of different types of CDs depending on what ails someone. But it's breathing-based, and the reason I chose breathing-based is because you can do it anywhere, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So. Some people teach a meditation with a geometrical design or a candle or a flower and all those wonderful meditation techniques. But you know what? If I'm sitting in a doctor's office and I'm stressed out, and I don't have my candle, I got a problem.
Exactly. Or if you're in an airplane, and I know a lot of people who are afraid of flying that meditate on board the aircraft and their fear diminishes.
Exactly.
Stand by, Morty. You and I have to take a commercial break. With the news, we'll be back on the other side. My name's Rob McConnell. Mordy Levine is our special guest. His website is www.meditationpro.com. That's www.meditationpro.com. Morty and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X Zone continues. We're right here live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. My toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. Email xzone@talkstarradio.com. My producer tonight at Master Control is the one and only Batman. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X Zone continues on the Talkstar Radio Network, live from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
I'm sure you've heard the saying, when you get to the end of your rope, tie a knot in it and hang on. Margie Garrison was at the end of her rope. At the young age of 28, she was told she would be in a wheelchair in about 5 years. And then, when she just couldn't go on any longer, she met a doctor who said to her, "Margie, arthritis is the easiest disease there is to cure." Now, can you imagine Margie's joy after 43 years and thousands of dollars of doctor bills and pain medications that didn't work? Learn the whole story online at healthstarproducts.com. That's HEALTH, healthstarproducts.com. It's guaranteed or your money back, and you have a full year to decide. Look it up online for yourself at HealthStar, HEALTH, healthstarproducts.com, and find out if what worked for Margie Garrison will work for you.
Amethyst works with your guides, angels, and spirit animals to assist you in catalyzing your inner healer, clearing your psychic and spiritual debris, integrating your lost soul parts, illuminating your journey, energizing your spirit, opening your psychic senses, exercising your multidimensional gifts, activating your purpose, empowering your soul, validating your experiences, navigating life's transitions, guiding your process, awakening your spiritual essence, balancing your energies, tapping into the creative flow, realizing your dreams, visioning your destiny, dreaming your world into being who you really are. Amethyst is an X-Zone iPod partner and can be visited online at www.answersfromyourangels.com or from your X-Zone iPod by touching the Angels widget on the main screen. Amethyst. www.answersfromyourangels.com. I'm Rob McConnell, and welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Today on the X-Zone, the Great Lakes Triangle of North America. Found in the heartland of North America, these landlocked yet connected lakes, which eventually empty into the Atlantic Ocean, have become the scene of more mysteries involving ships, aircraft, people, UFOs, ghosts, and phantom ships than the Bermuda Triangle. 1/16th the size of the Bermuda Triangle, Lady John Graves Simcoe was the first European to chronicle the strange orbs of light that have been seen above and below the waters of Lake Ontario. First Canadians tell of great cities which surrounded the Great Lakes where men flew without wings. The Great Lakes Triangle of North America, one of the world's greatest mysteries, right in our own backyard.
Hi, this is Ken Elliott. When I'm floating around the universe, I always try to tune in to Rob McConnell.
Hi ho there, Twinkie Frog on Sesame Street. When I want to find out what's going on with UFOs or ghosts, I listen to the X-Zone with Rob McConnell.
This is Les Corrigan from Target Internet Development. You're listening to Rob McConnell on the X-Zone Radio Show.
This is John Hogue, prophecy scholar, and you're listening to Rob McConnell in the X-Zone.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell. One 877-528-8255 is toll free. My name is Rob McConnell, and this is the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network. And this segment of the X-Zone is being brought to you by Amira Soul Mystic, Master Clairvoyant Healer and Spiritual Teacher. And she is planning a sacred travel trip to Egypt in November. If you'd like to find out more about the travel to Egypt, or whether you'd like to make a one-on-one consultation with Amira Soul Mystic, here's how you do it. 1-800-659-6796 is her toll-free number. That's 1-800-659-6796. Or visit her online at www.soulmystic.com. Mordy Levine is our special guest. We're talking about Eastern religions. We're talking about yoga. We're talking about karate. But we're talking about making you whole, giving you that, yourself back at the end of the day, or any time during the day when you need, just to
pull it all together. If you'd like more information on Mordy, visit his website at www.meditationpro.com. Welcome back, Mordy. Thanks very much for joining us. And one of the questions I have from the Exo Nation is meditation hard to learn?
I think if you have the right teacher, the right instructor, or the right, and obviously I came up with a number of different CDs that you can purchase on meditationpro.com. No, it's not hard to learn. If you have the right technique and the right instructor, it can be very easy. And something that I like to do with all my new students is set people up for success. Make it easy for them to have success. And that's why I use a breathing-based meditation, because it tends to be the easiest. And what I like to do is explain to people, there's a whole different series of meditation CDs that I have out there. One is meditation for stress, another one is meditation for insomnia, meditation for pain and healing, meditation for weight loss, meditation for to help quit smoking. And in each case, I like to teach people, why is there a problem? Why do you have insomnia? Why is it hard to quit smoking? Why do you feel stressed? And then once we kind of go through that in a very simple but powerful way, then I say, okay, how is meditation going to help that? And then you understand that mechanism, and then we teach you how to meditate and guide you through it. And in every CD, there's at least two meditation techniques. The first one is the one that you do, Rob, and the one that I do, which is a basic sitting meditation.
Yeah.
That's really your bread and butter. The second one is just as important, which is, okay, I did my meditation today, this morning at 7 o'clock in the morning till 7:20, but now it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I find I'm in a situation that I'm angry or I'm upset. Well, what do you do then? You can't go run home and start meditating. I'd like to, but you can't. So there's another technique that you can use in the moment. In the moment you feel that you need to have a cigarette, or you're about to overeat, or you feel stress, or you can't go to sleep and it's 2 in the morning and you've been up for 3 hours. What do you do? And that meditation, which is in the moment, is just as critical.
Why doesn't the medical community use meditation as a way of releasing stress, or to put people in a better frame of mind so that they can go to sleep instead of the pill-popping solution?
Well, I think some of the forward-thinking, Western physicians are starting to realize that. As more people, as more physicians start to meditate themselves or do yoga or do karate, and I bump into these people all the time in the different classes that I teach, and they realize that it's helping them, not the same generation as our parents were, 20, 30 years ago, the new generation. So it's becoming more and more popular to try meditation instead of medication. But obviously, we've got a long, long way to go because I was talking to a physician the other day who said something like 70+% of the patients that come to him have a stress-related factor or component to their illness.
I can believe that.
Yeah. So if you can de-stress through meditation, for example, then guess what? You're going to be healthier physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, probably will be at less risk of a heart attack, at less risk for hypertension, just to name an example that everyone kind of can relate to.
Rob in Scarborough would like to know if Tai Chi is a method of meditation.
Love Tai Chi. I study with a teacher, Tai Chi every week. And yes, the Eastern approach, many Eastern activities, whether it's Tai Chi or karate or even the tea ceremony, beautiful technique, that they teach in Japan, can be meditative. So, but there's different types of Tai Chi. There's Tai Chi where, hey, let's go out and beat each other up, and is my kick faster than your kick? Or there's another kind of Tai Chi, which is very slow, very calm, very meditative, very quiet, calms the mind. So, you can take a lot of activities and turn it into a meditative type of technique where your mind slows down. You realize there's some space between your thoughts. You realize that you're a little bit calmer. That can be meditation.
It seems that seniors are using Tai Chi more and more these days. The Tai Chi, the slow Tai Chi, the meditative Tai Chi.
Yeah, there, number of studies just came out recently, probably last few years, showing that seniors tend to break fewer bones and have fewer falls when they practice Tai Chi. And that's a beautiful thing, and I see two reasons behind it. One is, from a physical perspective, Tai Chi involves some degree of coordination, some degree of physical activity, some degree of balance. It's good for you physically. However, there's that mental component to it as well. If you become much, much more aware of your body and yourself and your mind when you meditate or when you do Tai Chi, then as that awareness level rises, you're also less likely to fall, break a bone, and break a hip. So it's been proven, Western science to the rescue. It's been proven to be a good thing for seniors.
How does the meditative state actually relieve pain or illness?
Great question. Well, there's different types of illness. There's a stress, as I just mentioned, there's a stress component related to some illnesses, and then there's some illnesses where nothing to do with stress. You get hit by a car, God forbid, or some forms of cancer. Where there is a stress-related component to the illness, let me take a step back. The number one reason people meditate or should meditate is to calm the mind.
Right.
If it happens to heal your illness, to me that's icing on the cake. But so people should kind of keep that in mind. So when someone says to you, oh, you should meditate to heal that problem you have or heal that cancer, and then it doesn't work, you just feel miserable. And that's really a disservice when people say, oh, meditation can heal you. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. Every situation is different. So the number one reason people can and should meditate is to calm the mind and calm the body. Having said that, if there's a stress-related component to your illness, you have hypertension, you have a heart issue, you have obesity, which is obviously a physical ailment as well, you have insomnia, you have TMJ, and the list is quite long, yes, absolutely, meditation will not only calm your mind, give you a state of mind that's a little bit more peaceful, but it can absolutely help to relieve a lot of those symptoms.
I was just wondering, as you were talking about that, if schools at a very junior age always have nap time or quiet time. Is this a way of releasing the stress from the child?
Absolutely. Nap time and quiet time are definitely a way to do that. But I want to differentiate between nap time and quiet time and meditation.
All right.
So, for example, some beginners, some advanced students, they meditate and they fall asleep. Nothing wrong with that. But sleep is different than meditation. Sleep is something that, obviously the body needs it, the mind needs it, but it's not a case where you're trying to regain control over the chattering mind that we have.
But what happens if somebody is meditating and they fall asleep?
No problem. If you fall asleep, when you awaken from your sleep, you can either continue to meditate or you can go back to sleep.
All right.
What I tell people, if it happens on a regular basis, it means it's very simple. It means you're tired. It means maybe you need more sleep. You need to find a better time to meditate when you're not as sleepy. And sometimes you have to experiment a little bit. But meditation is not sleep and vice versa.
1-877-528-8255, toll free. My name is Rob McConnell. Mordy Levine is our special guest. His website is www.meditationpro.com. When the people are sitting down and they're getting ready to meditate, what I do is I've got this beautiful leather chair upstairs, and I just sit in it, and it's so relaxing. I meditate. I put my two hands on the arms of the chair. Are there different ways or different reasons why people sometimes put their palms up or they put them on their laps?
Yes, there are, and to touch on it briefly, there's something called a mudra in Hinduism, where if you put your hands or fingers in a certain way, it helps the energy of the body flow better. or you could feel or lock into the energy that's around you. And those are beautiful things and beautiful techniques. I typically don't teach that to beginners because, once again, I'm trying to reach as many people as possible. And some people just might find that weird, and that's fine. So what I try to do is, hey, put your hands wherever you're most comfortable. Sit wherever you're most comfortable. Just make sure you have a nice, tall feeling in your spine. And then all you need to do, and I start them off, with guided meditation on all of my CDs, by just observe your breath. And then we have a few different very basic breathing techniques that they can easily follow just to put them in that place which you just described before, and which is that place of a little bit more peace of mind, a little bit more calmness, and a little bit more awareness of where their mind is and what is causing really their stress or their undesirable state of mind. So hands are nice to put them in a certain place, but hey, you know what? It's not going to change that much. Where your hands are, just make sure that you're comfortable. We want to set you up for success when you start to learn how to meditate.
Morty, how long should a beginner meditate for?
Everyone's different, and I can give you the ideal time. 22.74 minutes. I'm kidding. Ultimately, there is no ideal time. Everyone is different. So, someone may want to start with 5 minutes. Someone who, has problems in focusing their mind may want to start with 2 minutes. Doesn't matter as long as you start, as long as you're consistent. So, if I go to the gym to work out at the fitness center and, I go once this week and then once next month, well, I'm not going to really build a lot of muscle that way. But if I go every single day, even for just 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to build muscle. I'm going to get healthier. Same thing with meditation. As long as you can do it every single day and be consistent, start with 5 minutes. 5 minutes feels good to you, bang it up to 7 minutes. Move it up to 10 minutes, after a week or two, no problem. And if you want to just stay at 5 minutes, that's great. When I teach class, I tell people, you're going to get a grade, by taking this meditation class, and here's how it works. If you meditate once a day, you get an A. If you meditate twice a day, you get an A+. And I don't tell them, well, you have to meditate for a certain amount of time. And I don't tell them, well, in the 18 minutes that you're meditating, make sure you're not thinking for this amount. I don't get into any of that. There is benefit to meditation whether you do it well or you don't do it well, whether you're thinking a lot or thinking a little. Just by virtue of sitting there and meditating, you will benefit. Whether it's 5 minutes, 12 minutes, 35 minutes, you get an A.
All right, Morty, you and I have to take an A commercial break here. We'll be back on the other side. Mordy Levine's our very special guest, X-Zone Nation. He has books, he has CDs, he's got a super website at www.meditationpro.com. That's www.meditationpro.com. Starting tomorrow, we have a couple of new sponsors for segments. We have the Ontario Hypnosis Center in Toronto, Ontario, and we also have Carolyn Bartz talking about her book, The Secret of Books of Cats, as well as her new book. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone, live and around the world, right here on Talkstar.
Tired of losing in the casinos and being in the hole? Learn how to win at Blackjack with Blackjack for Winners. Call 1-800-214-7012, 1-800-214-7012. This is the DVD the casinos do not want you to see. According to Tommy Hyland, a legendary blackjack professional, this DVD teaches an easy way to count cards and beat the casinos at their own game of blackjack. It takes only 3 easy steps. 1, basic strategy. 2, card counting. And 3, money management. It's just that easy to beat the casinos at their own game of blackjack. Order right now and you'll receive 2 instructional DVDs, 52 flashcards making basic strategy a snap, and a reference card you can take into the casinos with you. All of this for only $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Order today at 1-800-214-7012, 1-800-214-7012. Start learning to win at Blackjack today with Blackjack for Winners. 1-800-214-7012, 1-800-214-7012.
I feel young. I act young. I am young. I'm only 45. So imagine my surprise recently when I was attending my son's high school graduation ceremony and someone asked me which one was my grandchild. Did I look that old? And the answer was in the mirror. My wrinkles were adding years to my looks. I had to do something, but shots of Botox or a facelift was the last thing I wanted to resort to. Then a friend of mine introduced me to Hydroderm. Hydroderm is a proven anti-aging serum that helps reduce the appearance of wrinkles while encouraging a smooth, youthful look and feel to skin. Well, it worked. No more grandma face for me, and my husband hasn't looked at me like this in years. Well, call now for a free 14-day trial of Hydroderm, absolutely risk-free. Your free trial of Hydroderm is just a phone call away. Here's the number, 1-800-263-0613. Call now before this risk-free offer expires. 1-800-263-0613. Toll free, 1-800-263-0613.
She once had me. She showed me her room. Isn't it good? Norwegian wood. She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. I sat on the
Mordy Levine is our guest this hour. www.meditationpro.com. Mordy, can meditation help you in your spiritual quest?
Yeah, you know what's beautiful about meditation is people do it for lots of different reasons. You know, some have a spiritual desire to improve themselves, get in closer touch with their spirituality. Some people just want to feel healthier. Some people have psychological issues, and some people are just drawn to it with no particular reason in mind. And the good news is that whether you're meditating for any one of those reasons, you get the others for free. So, the analogy I have, you go to the fitness center and work on that bicep. It works if you're lifting luggage. It works if you're opening your car door. It works if you have to move your couch. Same thing here. If you're meditating for spiritual reasons, you get the health benefits. You're meditating for the health benefits, you get the psychological benefits. And there's a nice overlap there.
Mordy, are there better places to meditate than others?
Well, for beginners, you just want to find a nice, quiet spot, not cluttered, clean, where you're not going to be distracted. Once you start meditating on a regular basis, yes, there are definitely places in your house that are better than other places. There are energy, as I'm sure many of your listeners know, there are places in the world, in the United States as well as all over the world, that are, higher energy than others and lower energy than others as well. Or some power spots are fun to meditate. But for beginners, it's really just best to keep it simple and not worry so much about that. Find a nice, clean, quiet place to devote 5 minutes to start. And that would be just fine.
What happens if the person who's trying to meditate just can't get all the clutter to start leaving their minds?
And that happens with a lot of beginners. And the answer is you start somewhere. So, if you use some of the techniques that I teach on my CDs, it's actually easy. I'm not going to say it's easy just to turn all thought off and start meditating for 20, 30 minutes at a time. But it shows you the path, and shows you that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it shows you that anyone can clear their mind. Maybe it's just for 3 seconds, maybe it's for 10 seconds, maybe it's for 15 seconds. Doesn't matter, as long as you do it, and then you do it again, and you do it again.
Consistency.
You got it. Consistency, and then, you're guaranteed for improvement.
Mordy, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. I hope we have the pleasure of having you on in the future. Until then, to you and everyone at your organization and the rest of the people at meditationpro.com,
Happy 4th of July.
Rob, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Have a great evening.
You too, sir. Bye-bye now. Mordy Levine, www.meditationpro.com. On his website, he has CDs, he has books. It's a great website, whether you're a beginner or whether you're a master. www.meditationpro.com. I hope everyone had a super Canada Day weekend. If you're listening to us in Hamilton, the Festival of Friends is on at Gage Park. Laura and I were there yesterday. We took in the show at the end of the night. We saw April Wine and the Spoons, two great bands from way back when. And I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news with Dr. Susan Shumsky as the X Zone continues right here on Talkstar. Don't go away.